Hey, our upgrade pace is looking solid right now, but I do think we need to push harder if we want to stay competitive. Here's the report.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 Career Mode, episode number 88 today for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Season 5. And we start things off with a little development comparison. You can see Renault, the team, really making gains in the last few races. Ever since Spain, they made 2 steps up to Monaco and then Canada, and it's been pretty much flatline to this race then. But you can see they've really closed the gap to us, apparently, on paper at least. I know many times before, though, I've said that development comparison chart's a little bit iffy in terms of the accuracy, but clearly they've brought some upgrades, so we may be seeing a bit of a better Renault perhaps. And actually, interestingly enough, there was actually Williams that made a tiny step up. So for the first time, we actually saw Williams just at the tail end of that chart there, in the same shot as Renault, Force India and Mercedes. And you saw Mercedes was pretty much flatlining ever since Spain, really, and even the gains they made before Spain were really marginal, so showing why Mercedes have looked really damn piss poor. But you must say here, Azerbaijan, this man Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton should be going pretty well, and we should be going pretty well as well with the Mercedes engine in the back of our cars. I mean, I guess you could say this should be one of the best races, along with Canada. Canada was pretty strong for the Mercedes guys overall, apart from a few little issues here and there, obviously, for Bottas, but Hamilton went well, and indeed Renault went well as well, so we're going to have to see how it goes, really. But, you know, historically, Azerbaijan has not been amazing for me, so I'm going to be a little bit cautious on that statement of how well I'm going to go, and there is maybe some rain forecasts for, in general, the race weekend, perhaps also qualifying, which is going to be a big spanner in the works, because generally I'm just not on the pace of the AI at the moment on the wet still after 5 seasons. But we get a new rival then in the form of Max Verstappen. The first time I think we've got a rival from the Red Bull team, and of course a nice dynamic of it being the man who basically took back his seat from Red Bull after I left in Season 4. And then we move into qualifying then, and indeed it is going to be rain for the entire session. It's going to be wet intermediate conditions for the entirety of Saturday, unfortunately for me, so we're going to have to try and battle through this, and I'm going to hope that hopefully the straight line speed, I'm going to make enough time up basically on the straight to counteract any time I'm losing in the corners. But in Q1, it was basically a case of getting a bit confident with the car, getting confident with the circuit, really. So we go for a second flying lap in Q1. At the moment, I'm down in a woeful P18, so we really need to gain a lot of time there. But on that first lap, honestly, I was going very early on the brakes, just kind of rolling the car through, just trying to get a sense of where I could push it, really, the limits, especially through the S section here in the last sector. Very tricky, you know, normally flat out completely in a dry. In the wet, you can see they're lifting off a little bit, opposite lock in 7th gear at, you know, 180, 170 miles per hour is not what you want to be doing. It's not the greatest feeling in the world. So we managed to get through then to Q2 in P12. Sergio Perez doing well then in P8. But after everything I said about the Mercedes guys, the Ferrari are still going quite well with a 1-2 there in that first session. So that's a little bit unfortunate for those guys. So we move through then into Q2. And at the moment, again, still a little bit of wayward on the exit of turn 1. But we cross the line. It's P10 at the moment. So we're on the cusp. We're going to go for a second fly lap again. So we're doing 4 laps so far in qualifying, whereas I'm used to usually managing to get through with one lap. So, you know, clearly having to kind of do some work. We've got Magnussen here on our second flying lap. It's actually going to help us a tad, because as we go down this back straight, we're going to get a bit of a toe off him. So you can see on the top right, gaining a little bit of time there in the slipstream. So thank you very much to Kevin Magnussen. And then we swing through to the last S section, and this time we get this a lot better. You can see no squirming, kind of lifted off a tad before we get to that right-hander, just to make sure midway through the corner then I can plant the power. And so we make up a bit of time there, and we're up into P9. Perez now P8. So that was good for me in terms of confidence. I closed up the gap to Sergio Perez, and so we're pretty much neck and neck. And so that looks to be where the car is in terms of what the car can do. And, you know, we can't. It looks like I can't out drag the car basically up its position. It's, you know, anyway in Azerbaijan that was tricky for me to do, let alone in the wet. But at the moment we go into Q3 then. At the moment, provisional pole is Valtteri Bottas. So it looks like finally the Mercedes Works team are maybe turning up to work and actually turning up the engine somewhat, but we'll see if Ferrari may ruin the party. But pretty tidy second sector here at the moment, but you can see I don't think it's going to be a blistering lap time. It just looks so slow in general. And there you go, there's Sebastian Vettel going up, and you can see having issues in the castle section, going over the bumps, and then as we go through finally again through the S section, and unfortunately not the best run through this section on this first flying lap, but we have fueled up the car a little bit more for a second attempt. You can see the time going down, so we'll have enough time just to pump in one more fast lap there. So at the moment our first flying lap is only P10, so we do have to go and find some time. We do find a lot of time there come across the line, and at the moment, it's only going to be P9, though. We found all that time up, but the guys around us found even more time, apparently, and so we finish up in P9, again, but just behind Sergio Perez. So it looks like pretty much that's where the Force India car is. I feel like there definitely is a bottleneck when the rain is out to our car, although we may be very, very decent in the dry. You know, the rain adds that different dynamic where that's the real difference between the top cars and maybe the midfield cars who are just punching above their weight due to the lack of drag in a straight line, perhaps, which is definitely the case in our car. I think our car really gains quite a fair bit against the top teams. Like I'm talking about maybe half a second, really, due to all the upgrades we've done on the thing and the AI team have done on the car. So Vettel gets the pole then. I'm surprised, to be honest, because I really did think finally the Works Mercedes team were going to pull their socks up, but looks like there you go. You know, that's why Ferrari on paper is still the fastest car on the development comparison chart. So we'll see what we can do from P9 then. So let's go to the full grid, and it's going to be another pretty busy Azerbaijan Grand Prix as per usual.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Ricciardo, Kimi Raikkonen, and Verstappen, Perez, Hülkenberg, a Force India, and Jolyon Palmer, Grosjean, Massa, Carlos Sainz, and Magnussen, Kvyat, Alonso, Stoffel Van Dorn, and Marcus Ericsson, Wehrlein, and Lance Stroll rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, so here we are on the starting grid, and a little change ahead of us. Sergio Perez has actually jumped up one place due to Nico Hülkenberg having a grid penalty then. It's going to be a one stop, but we do have one little icon of rain there you can see at the end of the race. So although we will be on the soft tyres, potentially we may be going to a late intermediate period, or it may get very, very interesting with a spanner in the works of a bit of a damp track with dry tyres on at the end. Either way, though, let's get into this. The 5 red lights for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Round number 8 of Season 5 is underway as the lights go out, and it's a pretty initially paused getaway from us compared to Jolyon Palmer on the left-hand side. He's got us on the jumper as into turn 1. We outbrake him, trying to go around the outside of Nico Hülkenberg. Meanwhile, Verstappen trying to send it to the inside of Kimi Raikkonen. Hülkenberg does some good late braking to the inside of our teammate then, Perez, and he's going to try and get up the order to P7. They'll go side by side. Raikkonen's lost the place to Verstappen at the moment, and so now we go down the back straight, trying to see maybe can we make something happen if one of these guys gets caught out trying to fight the other one. Maybe we catch Hülkenberg napping, or maybe our teammate napping. Let's see. They're still side by side. Perez to the inside though, so hopefully he'll be able to squeeze Hülkenberg out. Yes, he has, but Hülkenberg's come back at him then to the left-hand side, and now Perez is the one who's left out hung to dry, and so we go side by side. We're going to do a bit of a cheeky switchback move. He's gotten the curbing quite badly there. Huge curbs here at Azerbaijan. They really do slow you down so much, and so we've made that work, and a very cheeky move up into P8 then, and now we're going to try and see if we can chase down Nico Hülkenberg as we move through to the end of the lap. Lance Stroll already out this Grand Prix, in stark contrast to his real-life performance here in the 2017 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Very premature end to his race, and Perez tries to maybe slipstream us, but you can see kind of oddly halfway down that straight, kind of backs off somewhat, so it looks like the AI not too kind of amazing at holding through with the slipstream there down that main straight. And ahead of us, Verstappen has been overtaken by Hülkenberg, so Nico getting a real get on with this race at the moment, overtaking the Red Bull car, and up ahead looks like he's right on the back of Raikkonen straight away, and we're going to be back on the back of Verstappen here. You can see how much we're gaining through the S section. Even before we get onto the straight through the kink, we go to the left-hand side and overtake the Dutchman very easily. And if you wait a moment and look at the top left, and as we look behind us, Perez is also going to waltz past Verstappen, so a double overtake then on Max Verstappen there, and he's down the order. So the Red Bull car really not benefiting too well from the drag it has naturally, and then the Renault engine not working very well, whereas the Works Renault team, after obviously we talked about those 2 upgrades since the Spanish Grand Prix, going pretty well. I mean, Hülkenberg unable to make a move work there side by side with Raikkonen, but he's having a go at him at least. And meanwhile, Hamilton at the moment I think is still leading this Grand Prix. I think that's him on the mini-map with a bit of a gap in P1, setting the fast lap of the Grand Prix previously, so good stuff for him. Bottas looks like he's in P2, followed by Ricciardo, Vettel, and then Hülkenberg then is already overtaken Raikkonen then as we cut onto this replay camera, so good job from the German there, and he's going to overtake his fellow compatriot then, the second Ferrari, and he's now going to be up into P4, so the Renault, at least of Hülkenberg, going very well indeed, and he's completely cleanly passed Sebastian Vettel. So those upgrades working a treat for Hulkenberg. And meanwhile, we tried to make something work on the other Ferrari of Kimi Raikkonen, but around the outside through turn 1 wasn't able to make it work. Raikkonen does quite well, to be fair to him, to park it in the middle of the corner, and we're going to have to wait until the back straight now. Can we get enough slipstream? We'll have a second bite of the cherry with DRS, but equally so you can see Perez not too far behind there, but we're going to go for it to the outside. Dangerous place to be, because remember, this is where Hulkenberg squeezed us out last time. This time though, Raikkonen's left us enough room, thankfully, so we can maybe nip it to the inside, but he just about slams the door on us, and we get over the curbing, and just like we did to Perez, Perez will do to us. To the inside, takes advantage of us losing pace over the curbing, and I can't really do too much. I tried to go for an early cut in there to the apex, it just didn't work out for us, and so we're back down to P8. So bit of a good scrap there between my teammates, but at the moment we're kind of holding each other up, I guess you could say, and Raikkonen's not doing me much use as well, kind of holding me up with some dirty air through those corners. And speaking of Raikkonen, he's been overtaken very easily by Perez, so Perez showing me how it's done. Can we try and follow him through? Yet again, we try a look to the outside, doesn't work out, and this is now getting quite frustrating. It's been 6 laps now, and really I should be doing what Perez is doing, just getting it round past him very easily, but I just can't get the drive through the final sector to get him in a straight line, and down this back straight I just can't get the straight line speed at the moment. Meanwhile, someone who does have the straight line speed in this race at the moment is Nico Hulkenberg, closing up to Daniel Ricciardo very rapidly with DRS open, probably rich mix I would guess, and he's going to make an overtake or an attempt at an overtake for P3. Bottas there goes through turn 1, he's in P2. Hamilton still leading the way, so at the moment a very strong Mercedes 1-2, so to kind of say, you know, it kind of looked like Ferrari got the edge back over Mercedes in qualifying after I thought Mercedes would have been there on pace. It looks like race pace wise, indeed the two Mercedes cars are the ones dominating this race at the moment, and you can see for now Ricciardo puts up a really good fight. He's gone defensive to the inside again to the end of this back straight. He's got DRS off Bottas, actually, that's helped him out there, and for now he will stay ahead. Meanwhile, back to our fight, Perez right behind Vettel, and oh, Vettel's locked up there, and so we're all going to bunch up now. A bit of a domino effect after Vettel seemingly goes wide there after the double lock-up, and now Perez is right up his gearbox, so we flow through the S section down to the main straight. Raikkonen tucks in, we're going to tuck in with slipstream as well. Where are we going to go? Perez goes to the left, we go to the right of Raikkonen, so we're all checkerboarded pattern here. We go to the right then of Vettel to make it 3 wide momentarily, and now we'll go side by side with Perez, and we've just pulled off a triple overtake here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It really is like a motorway, and then look at that! Jolyon Palmer out of nowhere makes a double overtake on the Ferrari cars as well, and so the two Ferraris are going backwards and backwards now in this race. We lock up, Perez may have opportunity now to overtake us, re-overtake us, but that's been a fantastic little sequence for us to overtake 3 cars there, but it may just become 2 now as Perez looks to re-overtake us. He's got a good run, of course, after the lockup I just had, and he goes to the outside. He locks up as well. You can see I've gone a little bit early on the brakes, went a bit cautious because I don't want to fight my teammate too much. I'd rather just kind of hold this through and be a bit cautious for both of our sakes, and kind of, you know, both of us be ahead rather than just one of us ahead of those cars. And so a little bit cautious. We can try and get Perez back if we get the speed later on in this race, no doubt. But now, meanwhile, is another chance for Hulkenberg to overtake Ricciardo, and it looks like he's done it, and he's going to be up into P3 of this Grand Prix. So at the moment it's 1-2 for Mercedes still, and now Renault in P3. So those upgrades working a real treat then for Hulkenberg. Meanwhile, back to our POV, lap 9. It's only lap 9 in this race, and so much action's happened already. Absolutely bonkers. And as I said, we can afford to, you know, be a bit cautious with Perez and let him through in that instance previously, because we will be able to come back at him pretty easily now with the amount of slipstream. We're just so OP down this straight with DRS and rich mix, and so you can even see we're down to lean mixture, in fact, because we may as well save fuel, because if I know it's a guaranteed overtake then on Perez like it is there through turn 1, I may as well go down to lean mixture at the very point I'm overtaking the car, because I can save a good amount of fuel. Once again now, as we move down towards lap 11, Perez is going to try and overtake us. We're in lean mixture at the moment, because the same thing the reverse way, it's inevitable he's going to overtake us. You know, being in rich mix is not going to help too much if he's got DRS on us, and so I may as well save some more fuel, and that fuel is going to come in handy hopefully towards the end of the race when we can try and push and re-overtake him for the, you know, dying stages where it matters, where we're actually going to finish. Although you can see going a little bit slowly on the exit through turn 1, and Palmer is able to send it down the inside, so we go back up into rich mix, DRS open, and this is where the rich mix will come back in handy to really defend in the points of the track where we can actually defend. We go defensive, hit the apex there, and we're going to keep P6 for now. And Raikkonen on the exit is going to look like to overtake Palmer then, so Palmer held up a little bit trying to overtake us, and so that hasn't worked out for him. And Perez kind of gets a bit of a gap, so we need to try and chase back up to him and close that gap up. But on lap 11, the full safety car has actually been called out here, so we are going to neutralise the race a little bit, although it will be kind of good timing for everyone to come in, because we were probably going to come in anyway. But you can see here, the entry to the pit lane, I don't know what on earth went on here. I broke just at the right point. I didn't feel like I slowed down too much for the line, but for some reason, somehow, Raikkonen is able to ghost through me. So, last episode, if you didn't see that, by the way, be sure to, hopefully you guys have seen that by now, we had that random-ass glitch where we spun through the wall, and in this race, I've got a glitch where Raikkonen is able to glitch past me in the pit lane, and then Palmer somehow overtakes me. Well, no, actually, Palmer overtakes me due to the fact I had to double stack with Perez, so that's not a glitch. But the glitch was the fact that Raikkonen gained even more time than he would have naturally in the pit lane by glitching through me. So he would have overtaken me anyway because I had to double stack with Perez, but just a little thing again. So unfortunately, getting a lot of bad luck in on this game at the moment. No through fault of my own, basically. So we go down the inside now on the restart of Palmer. He's on medium tyres, interestingly enough. So it looks like the Renault team, at least for him, don't feel like he can take this to the end with the tyre wear. Obviously, we know we've got very good tyre wear in the Force India team, so we're good to the end on soft tyres. That was our original plan, let alone with a safety car to help us a tad. We're on lap 14, over halfway through this Grand Prix now, so we should be able to easily go to the end. And we send it down the inside now of Palmer, but clearly they think his tyre is going to go off even more. So now, interestingly enough, Palmer goes to the racing line to try and go defensive, which is kind of odd because it kind of opens up the door for us to send it to the inside. That will leave us to the right-hand side of the next chicane, but of course, we'll get the inside line, and as we pinch him to the left there, we'll get the apex there and go over the curbing somewhat, hop it a little bit, and we're up into P8 then. Now we've got some clean air to try and chase after Kimi Raikkonen, who's being held up somewhat by Sergio Perez. The Ferrari car doesn't look like to have the straight line speed this afternoon to be able to pull past Perez. So I think once we get past Raikkonen, we are past him then for the entire Grand Prix. We just need to actually get past him. And now for the third or fourth time lucky, really, we try and move around the outside again. And once again, a little bit of contact's made on the exit, and Raikkonen's going to keep this through. But I just need to get this pass done because Perez has shown, like, once we've got past him, we've got the straight line speed to pull away from him. He's not going to catch back up to us, but we just need to get the move done. Yet again, he is able to stay ahead. We have to pull to the left-hand side. Meanwhile, Palmer also tries to get involved. He's going on the right-hand side of Raikkonen, I think, so we're going 3 wide, I think it is, just about, and we go to the inside now. We're going to squeeze Raikkonen out, and finally, we will get this move done. And meanwhile, you would have seen those panning shots that Perez up ahead was trying to overtake Valtteri Bottas. So Perez trying to go with what might be a net P2, really, because Bottas was P2 initially before the safety car, so I'm not too sure what's gone on with the order, and maybe some people lost some time in the pit stop phases. But either way now, as we swing on through into lap 19 at the end of it, on towards lap 20 now, with only 6 laps to go then when we cross the line, we're going to make a very easy pass on Valtteri Bottas. He's got a really big lack of straight line speed, and you can see we even go down to lean mixture to once again save some fuel in straight line, and we set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, using the toe very well to our advantage. And of course, we're the only car really that had a lot of clean air. We've got yellow flags up ahead, and oh my god, it's Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is out of this Grand Prix. Oh, commiserations for Mercedes. Bottas going slow again, and I think this is has it literally been 8 races in a row this season that one Mercedes car has had a major issue, either mechanical or just a racing incident, and this is Hamilton locking up from the lead the Grand Prix, slam dunk into the Armco barrier of the Fly Emirates sponsor there. And on board now, looking at the replay, it's just a lock-up. It's just a lock-up. Ricciardo just basically gets gifted first place there. Hamilton's not really in any kind of pressure, and so now under the virtual safety car, it's Ricciardo that leads the way. It's Nico Hülkenberg in second. Perez is now in third, and I'm now in 4th place ahead of Valtteri Bottas. So it's a 3-4 at the moment for Force India. Absolutely wonderful stuff here at Azerbaijan from an 8-9 position on the grid, or 7-9 as it were, with Perez getting up one order, of course, with Hülkenberg with a penalty there, of course, as well. Hülkenberg had a penalty and moved down to 9th, and now he's up into 2nd place. So what big gains then for us, and then the Renault boys, I guess you could say both of them really, because Palmer's also up there somewhat. And now speaking of Hülkenberg, he makes a move for the race lead, and he's actually very easily up into the race lead then, and so he's leading the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. How about that? Absolutely awesome there for Nico Hülkenberg. And Ricciardo is now going to try and come back at him though on the very next lap with slipstream once again, just like it was between me and Perez. It's very easy to come back at the next car on the very next straight because you just have that much much straight line speed with DRS and Rich Mix flying. And so here comes the Australian. Can he send it to the outside? It's going to be a bit of a long way around. It really hasn't worked out for me in the past 5 times with Raikkonen. Only did it kind of really work on the final time, and that was really done on this next straight. But on this next straight, Hulkenberg squeezes him out enough, gives him enough room, but he's just got the legs at the very exit of the corner to keep ahead in first place. Meanwhile, back onto our POV, lap 24 now, and you can see top right corner of your screen and also in the middle now, the rain droplets are coming down. So that one icon of rain is coming through, and it's going to mean a bit of a damp circuit at the end of this race, but we're all going to stay to the end on dry tyres like it was back at the Russian Grand Prix pretty much. And you can see now, moving to the dying stages of the Grand Prix, this is Sergio Perez now closing up on Daniel Ricciardo, and this is going to be a move for second place in the race. Sergio Perez moves left hand side of the circuit. Ricciardo defenseless completely there. Such great straight line speed from the Force IndyCar and my teammate, and Ricciardo has nothing to answer for it. So into turn 1, Perez very easily into second place. It's actually not too far off first place even, and so that looks like to be him booked into that great podium position. So fair enough to Perez. Obviously you could say I kind of helped him out a little bit by being so kind to him earlier on in the Grand Prix, but honestly I'm not too fussed about that. I'll always play the team game if I can do, and you know, it's good to see my teammate perform well. That's going to help us majorly actually in the constructors. It may not seem like it, but that's going to mean quite a lot for us in the constructors. For him to be P2, for me to be P4, and for Raikkonen and Vettel to be both behind us, that's going to work quite well for us. So we come in through the end, lap 26 for P4 in this race. I think overall that's been a fantastic Grand Prix for Force Indy there as a whole. Awesome job. But, you know, for this man, Nico Hulkenberg, brilliant stuff. Obviously, it never ended on bad terms between me and Nico, so happy to see him do so well. He's won the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, I believe his first victory of this season so far. So Renault, you know, they were really good in Season 4 at the beginning. Then they kind of dropped off and weren't really there for the beginning of this season. But now, you know, 2 upgrades in a row from Spain. It looks like they're kind of back on their feet somewhat, and maybe look like to be making a late little kind of surge in the title perhaps and try and take the fight, because I think that at the moment they're still 5th in constructors behind Mercedes after some poor luck with just generally Palmer and Hulkenberg not being quite there yet. So it looks like they're trying to maybe do the best they can to kind of topple Mercedes off P4 in the constructors, and Ricciardo P3, I guess okay for them. And in general, all of us have got to be happy that Ferrari didn't perform too well. And you can see there, they've closed the gap to Raikkonen and we're back up into second place and ahead of Max Verstappen once again. But Raikkonen, you know, it really hasn't seemed like it. To me, it hasn't seemed like Raikkonen's been amazing consistent, but apparently he just has. He's just been there, but he's been kind of like under the radar, just scoring some really decent points, and he's still somehow in first place of this championship then. Fair enough. And Ferrari, there you can see, still in first, but we climb back up into second in the constructors, back ahead of Red Bull Racing. So that's really great to see then. And so in the rivalry at the moment, still beating Max Verstappen just about with 2 points to 3 there. And so as we move on then to the end of this episode, we're going to look at some R&D upgrades, and we've got enough points now to potentially purchase a major upgrade. Now, I wasn't too sure which one I should do. I was debating about maybe either front or rear downforce, but in the end, I've gone for the drag, because really, honestly, I've noticed in this game, the drag and the straight line speed, the chassis weight, and everything like that, that is just the most crucial part in my opinion. If you have a fast car in a straight line, a light car in the corners, that is going to benefit you so much more than any kind of just downforce, pure downforce in the corners. I think having a light chassis and low drag, so the slipstream works well, is going to make for a much better race car in my opinion. And so that's why I've gone for the major upgrade on the drag. And when that kicks in around the Belgian Grand Prix, I think that's going to be the most OP upgrade I've ever done in the career mode. And I'm really excited to see how fast this Force Indy can get between me and Perez. So looking forward to that one. But guys, if you have enjoyed the episode, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're not doing good, subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been Aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.